Alrighty, so the 4 games that happened tonight in terms of match week number 31 of the Wednesday action is now in the books. And in general, these 8 games that conclude the last big midweek action that we're going to get in the 2022 MLS regular season is also in the books. And just like last night, if you're the home team, tonight was a good night for you because pretty much almost all but one home team were able to get all 3 points tonight, and the playoff races for both conference look like it has swung wide open again after these midweek action, and that it's going to be interesting as we head into these last couple of weeks, and that for most teams they have either 3 or 4 games left in the season. Whether or not are we going to get to a point where, yeah, decision day is going to be wild. I mean, I already said that decision day could be wild this season with the playoff race seems to be always tight every single week, but as we get closer to that, and still there's a lot at stake in terms of both conference playoff races, I feel like there could be a case where we could have a decision day. That if you thought last year decision day was wild, I'll wait till how this year is going to play out. But let us actually begin with the first game, and the first game is Orlando City versus Atlanta United, and this is the only game that feature this week that the home team weren't able to get a win or a draw, and that this also is a game that kind of screwed up in terms of how I was hoping I can watch the Compiness Cup just as a single game. I mean, I know this game will overlap a little bit in terms of the Compiness Cup, but I didn't think it was going to overlap a lot because of the way that this game eventually have a weather delay, because it is Orlando and it is Florida, and it seems like Florida is a state that is leading the league in terms of weather delay. Like, between the amount of weather delay that Orlando City and Inter Miami has had, just to shows you that maybe those two teams need to think about building a retractable bowl stadium. But in terms of the game itself, well, this was kind of a classic example of the fact that, neither team was able to finish, and it was just going to take one team that able to put away their chances, and that team was Atlanta United, getting the 1-0 win over Orlando City. Though early on, in the 7th minute, Angulo would slice it just wide from close range before Dwyer tried to score against his former team, but he missed a free header there, and yeah, that's one. I mean, if he did put that one into the back of the net, I wonder what kind of celebration is he going to do, because Dom Dwyer is kind of almost like one of the villain in MLS, and I wouldn't be surprised he would be celebrating against his former team and trying to give it to those Orlando City fans, but obviously it didn't happen because he missed the free header. But there was some early chances for both of these teams, but I thought the final there wasn't really that good for either of these teams. That would change though, because in the 17th minute there was a huge shout for a penalty for Orlando that was not given. Araujo had a chance in the 20th minute, but he blasted that one high. But even if he puts that one in, it wouldn't have counted because he actually had a handball that was called on him. I think he controlled that off of his hands there before blasting that one high. Then Gardino would deny Cara as the flag went up. So like the last play, that goal wouldn't have counted, but this time it would have been because of offside. Urso then puts a weak header right to Gardino, and again, chances are now starting to come for both of these teams as they both were pressing for the opening goal, and you just kind of sense that opening goal maybe it isn't that far away. But in the 33rd minute, Galese, he decided that he was going to pretend to be Manuel Neuer. He decided to kind of play it out a little bit and just kind of took on Dwyer. And yeah, Dwyer was probably upset that he basically got completely juked by the goalkeepers. So he took it personally. He basically made a hard foul on Galese, and I think he's very fortunate that he only got a yellow card for that. I mean, I get it. Dom Dwyer is kind of one of those player that plays with emotion, but yeah, that was, I know that was kind of embarrassing for him to completely get out juke and pretty much getting done by the goalkeeper, but fouling him is not going to help your cases in terms of trying to taking it personally and trying to get yourself of now potentially one yellow card away of getting sent off in this one. But then the 37th minute, Araujo went through on goal, and he actually went around the keeper, and he kind of was a little bit off balance as he was trying to slot that one in, and that Kyle Smith, it looked like he had a chance to basically not clear that one away, but he kind of lost track of where the ball is, and somehow despite that, he still were able to clear off the line, but not by much. I mean, it was heading goal bound, and Smith was just able to clear that one off the line. And then just a couple of minutes later, Galese would absolutely rob Andrew Gutman from point blank range. And I'll tell you what, Andrew Gutman, where has this guy been in terms of the attacking talent that he's been getting lately? I mean, it feels like ever since he has scored a couple of goals, this guy has been on point in the attacking part of the field when we usually don't say that of course is the case. I mean, I think he is one of those rare example of a player that just got better after a major injury that he suffered through. But we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams, and in the second half, more chances came for both teams. First, Cara would heads it wide from close range before Antonio Carlos heads it just wide on the header from the corner. And I thought Orlando started the second half the better team, and they were looking to try to get themselves the opener. Pereira would hit the side netting, and that's kind of one of those ones where when you hits the side netting, some part of the stadium thought that went in. Like, there was definitely some celebration at some part of the half empty Exploria stadium, but that of course did not went in. He then fires it high from 17 yards out in the 66th minute, and the finishing was a problem for Orlando in this game, and it has been a problem at some of the games that they had, but man, this one they were having a tough time in terms of putting the ball on target. Though that being said, you could say the same thing about Atlanta United, because Araujo had a chance in the 71st minute, and his shot actually took a wicked deflection that just goes high there. And for Orlando, you're probably thankful that went wide, because whenever you have those wicked deflection, it can go anywhere. Galese then denied Franco on the header, but then in the 72nd minute, Thiago Almada would score from Gutman to make it 1-0 in favor of Atlanta United. And this wasn't a banger that Thiago Almada scored, because it seems like he always tends to have that Hassani Dotson kind of trait of him only scoring bangers only for Atlanta United. But this one was just kind of a well-worked goal, and he slots that one home to give Atlanta United a huge 1-0 lead in this derby. Now, in the 74th minute, Marini tried to score against his former team, but he missed high from long range. And as time went down, I thought Atlanta were in full bunker mode, which, again, I don't think that was the best of ideas, because we have seen Atlanta have give up late goals this season, and that Orlando was just throwing the kitchen sink. And knowing the fact that Orlando has the ability to score stoppage time goals, that also emphasized why I feel like what Gonzalo Pineda did to just go full bunker mode and trying to seize out a 1-0 win maybe isn't the best of idea. Though in the 88th minute, one of the guy that is a specialist in terms of scoring late goal, Teshin Akindele, he had an off-balance header that goes wide before Marini would blast it high from long range. But then in the 5th minute of stoppage time, Orlando actually won themselves a corner, and on the corner, Pereira actually met that one on the header, and actually he kind of had a free header, but unfortunately could not put enough power in, and it goes right to Godinho. And yeah, in the end, Atlanta United, despite they were hanging on for dear life in the last 10 minutes of this game, they survive and get a massive 1-0 win to really help their playoff chances. But the shots in this one, 20 shots compared to 10 that Atlanta has, 5 shots on goal compared to 3 that Orlando has, 13 shots off target compared to 3 that Atlanta has, 4 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that Atlanta has, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that Atlanta United has in this game. And like I said, it's a huge victory for Atlanta United, because I believe they're now only 3 points below the red line right now. And even though their playoff hope is still kind of on the fringe, because the team that they're chasing, Columbus and Cincinnati, does have one game over them, at least they're now back in the hunt, sort of, and that the team hasn't given up yet. And also, one thing to note, that why Atlanta playoff hope is still kind of on the fringe is because they still have a really tough schedule to finish off the season. But credit to Gonzalo Pineda team and in general Atlanta United. It's been a rough season for them both on and off the pitch, but they are not giving up just yet, and that this is kind of the game that they've been looking for a long time, which is finally find that consistent after getting a big victory in the previous game against Toronto FC, and they did exactly that against Orlando. But for Orlando City, I mean, they got to get rid of this cup hangover soon, because even though they're in 5th position, they're not really that safe in terms of being above the red line. I mean, they only have like a 4-point lead in terms of being above the red line. And even though we only have 3 games left to go, or for some team there's 4 games left to go season, that 4-point lead can disappear very quickly, especially of how things can change in the playoff race of how this season has went. So, and not to mention Orlando does still have a bit of a tough schedule to finish their season. Yeah, it's not guaranteed yet that Orlando City is going to make it to the playoffs, and that they could have got a win in this one. It would have definitely gave them a shot, but they weren't able to do it, and that they need to bounce back quickly, because it's great that they won their first trophy in their franchise history, but I'm pretty sure their main goal in this is to once again make the playoffs and go further than what they did last season. But that being said, moving on, in the next match is Austin versus RSL, and on behalf of Minnesota United, Portland Timbers, Seattle Sounders, and even in some case the Vancouver Whitecaps, I want to thank Austin FC of getting the 3 points to help all of those team out, and also thanking Pablo Mastroeni's decided to create a strange decision of putting a B team in this game, even though playoff hopes are on the line for RSL down the stretch. And also thanking Musa Gite decided to make history in this game against Austin FC coming off the bench. But overall, when you look at how this game played, I mean, the scoreline kind of is a little bit misleading with the way that Austin really didn't get going until Gite showed up, and really didn't get going until Josh Wolf made those substitution in the 57th minute. I mean, when he made that triple sub in the 57th minute, it completely changed the game, because before that, RSL, despite the fact they were putting a B team, they were by far the better team, and they had chances to get the opening goal in the first 60 minutes of this one. But like I said, they decided to put a B team in this match and kind of decided to punt this game away. I mean, I don't want to say they want to punt this game away. I think this was more that they were hoping if they can get a B team out there, they can decide to sneak out of Austin with a point. And especially they do have some home games left in the season, and that they might be putting their eggs in the basket of those home games, even though they haven't been that good playing at Rio Tinto's, or actually it's not called Rio Tinto anymore, it's called American First Field. It's gonna get time for me to get used to calling that stadium American First Field when it's been called a Riot for so long. But yeah, that this was a very strange decision that Pablo Mastroeni has made, but certainly a decision that I'm pretty sure a lot of fans that, again, not only Austin fans are seeing this, but also a lot of fans that is watching this game because their playoff hope is on the line, are probably happy that RSL decided to punt this game. But then again, for Austin, they still need to take advantage of it. And at least early on, it looked like they were going to take advantage of it, as Urruti actually struck the post from close range in the 4th minute before Dreyusi hits it over the bar, and Austin just completely shot out of the cannon. Like, they were pressing immediately for the opening goal. It looked like it was going to get ugly in this one, but credit RSL. They kind of weathered that storm early, and they kind of started to come into this game. Fagundes then flicked one that was flicked it all or strike one off the wall and wide on the free kick. I actually don't know why I wrote flicked it off. That kind of sounds where he basically shot one off the wall and wide on the free kick. But then Luna hits one straight to Stuver before Brody had a chance from close range from the header, but he hits it straight to Stuver. And RSL, despite the fact that they decided to put a B team in this one, they were looking dangerous going forward, and they were actually looking to try to get the opening goal. They would actually created more chances after I wrote this, because Rubio Rubin actually went through on goal, but knowing the form that Rubio Rubin has been in, it's not a big surprise that one missed wide. Stuver then denied Julio from close range before Ojeda actually blasted high in the 34th minute, and RSL was just all over Austin in this game. Like, Los Verdes would just keep turning the ball over, which, credit to the RSL press. They did really good job in terms of high pressing Austin and not allowing them to get themselves out of their own half. But for Austin, I mean, it's got to be frustrating the fact that they was just pinned in their own half. They just cannot get out of the RSL press. And you can even hear it inside Q2 Stadium. Like, I know usually that stadium, it's in a party atmosphere, but when things are not going well, especially in this game, it definitely was kind of quiet with the way that the fans were kind of frustrated with the way that the team was just keep turning the the ball over and not gaining any traction whatsoever. Though that being said, in the 42nd minute, they did had a chance with Nick Lima trying to go from long range, and we know Nick Lima can definitely score a long range goal. I mean, after all, I've seen him score many of those when he was a San Jose Earthquakes player, but unfortunately he puts that one over the bar and still haven't been able to do so in an Austin FC jersey. But we do head to halftime scoreless in this one, and I think Austin probably are fortunate that it heads to halftime scoreless because it was not a great half for them. And in the second half, there was a shout for a penalty for Austin as they feel like Kapahov handballed this one in the box, and I gotta say, I think that should have been called a handball because I know they only show one replay on the Austin feed, but I feel like when you look at how Kapahov kind of had his outstretched arm and that ball kind of touched him, I mean, isn't that a definition of a handball? And the fact that they did kind of check VAR for a bit and then just took a quick check and said that that's not a handball. I mean, yeah, it feels like that was a little bit too quick of the way that they checked it. And that, again, they only show one replay of it, but even with that one replay on the Austin feed, I thought that probably should have been a handball, and that probably RSL got away with one there. Though, that being said, I thought RSL still looked like the better side, as they still were attacking with some menace, and Austin, again, they were looking lackluster on both ends, especially on the defensive end, which we talked about many times this season. That defense is the biggest Achilles heel of this team if they want to make a deep playoff run. And after the performance I've seen in this game against RSL, I still don't trust the fact that this is a team that could go deep with the way that their defense at times was very unnerving. But in the 57th minute, I think Joshua kind of have seen enough because, with the way that his team was not gaining any traction, he decided to make a triple sub. Decided to bring Gite, Gallagher, and Finley into this game. And little do we know that triple sub that he bought him and at least one of those players from that triple sub would turns out to have a historic game, because in the 60th minute, literally the first action that Gite has had, literally his first touch of this game, he puts it into the back of net to give Austin the lead as he scored for Fagundes and Cascante to make it 1-0 in favor of Los Verdes. Though Cordova did look to try to get a quick response for RSL, but he puts one straight to Suver. And again, the back line continue to be a problem for this team. It still looks all over the place. Though in the 76th minute, Finley did struck the post, but on the ricochet, there is the Moose. He is there in the perfect place at the perfect time to rifle that one into the back of net, and he actually rifled that one off the volley, which, we talk about Musa Gite. He's a guy that I've always believed that he has a lot of potential to be a good goal scorer for this team. And even though he hasn't been getting a lot of minutes, you can definitely see that there's been a flash of brilliance that he can be that player. And tonight, he definitely proves it because, the fact that he was able to hit that one half volley like that, it just shows you that his confidence was absolutely boost after he scored that goal in the 60th minute. And yeah, that gives Austin a 2-0 lead. Though on the other end, Stuver did deny Herrera as RSL again tried to respond quickly and try to get one back. But then in the 79th minute, history was made. The Moose gets in the history book of Austin FC of becoming the first ever player to score a hat-trick for Los Verdes, as he scored from Gabrielson and Fagundes to make it 3-0 in favor of Austin. Kapahov also did try to respond for RSL again, but he puts one too high. But yeah, in the end, for Austin, despite the fact that they weren't playing very well for majority of the game, Musa Gite was there for the rescue, and he definitely had a historic night in this one to give Austin a 3-0 lead. And also, one interesting fact to also talk about besides Gite becoming the first Austin FC player to score a hat-trick, he actually have scored more goals in the 19 minutes that he scored a hat-trick than he has in his previous 29 appearance for this Austin FC team. Like, coming into this game, I think he only have scored 2 goals, and now he has scored 5 goals, and 3 of them comes in to this one. I mean, that just shows you the fact that, yeah, when Gite is feeling it, and if he can just find that clinical finishing, he can be the player that we just saw tonight. But in the end, like I said, it's a big victory for Austin FC, and really a big victory for all those teams that is in the playoff hunt, or at least are just above the red line. Because, as I said, a lot of those teams, they want RSL to draw points. They want those teams that is near red line to drop points, and they did exactly that. And the shots in this one, 17 shots compared to 14 that Austin has. 3 shots on goal compared to 6 that RSL had. 6 shots off target compared to 5 that Austin has. 5 shots that was blocked compared to 6 that Austin has. And possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that Austin has. And for RSL, I mean, the struggle continues. And that, again, I know that this was a game where I think Pablo Mastroeni was always thinking that they're just going to punt this game away, but I don't know if he learned anything from Adrian Heath a couple of weeks ago of when you decide to punt a game, especially in the middle of the week against a good opponent, it does not always turns out well. And I feel like this maybe will come back to haunt RSL, and especially with the way that, you're already in a bad form. You don't need to just think about punting a game. You need to try to think about snapping out this bad form before you even think about punting the game, and maybe putting your eggs in the basket in terms of those home games that RSL has down the stretch. Though, that being said, moving on in terms of the next match, and another game that also finished 3-0 in favor of the host, is Vancouver versus the LA Galaxy, and another game that if you are a team of those teams that are either fighting for playoff position or teams that are trying to get above the red line, this was a great result for you, because for the Whitecaps, even though I know they still have a shot in terms of making the playoffs, I don't think they will make it, but at least they're like Atlanta. They're definitely not going down without a fight by getting an impressive 3-0 win in favor of the Galaxy. Though early on, Puig did blast one just wide in the 6th minute, as I thought the Galaxy kind of were the better team early on. In Vancouver, they kind of were trying to go for the bread and butter and trying to go on the counter, though most of the time it didn't really quite work out for this team. Chicharito then puts one just wide from long range before the first big opportunity came for the Whitecaps in the 27th minute, as Blackman just puts it high on the doorstep of goal. But we do head to halftime with the score scoreless between both of these teams. Now in the second half, Puig then hits one straight to Hassel, but then the breakthrough happened in the 57th minute, as Ryan Gaul would make it 1-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. And yeah, this was just a goal that probably shouldn't have happened if the Galaxy just cleared their lines, and specifically Julian Araujo. I mean, I don't know what he was thinking. Like, why in the world did he decide to take an extra touch? Like, when the ball is bouncing there in the 18-yard box, you do not take an extra touch. You got to clear that ball away, but here he just decided to take the extra touch, almost trying to play it out, and he not only he got that one wrong, but he basically took a heavy touch and it fall right in the path of Ryan Gaul. And yeah, Gaul basically said, "Thank you very much. I'm going to slot this one in." And the Whitecaps were up 1-0. Just 11 minutes later, it would be 2-0 in favor of the Whitecaps, as Vite would get on the score sheet from White and Martins to make it 2-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. But again, some bad defending for the Galaxy, especially on Chase Gasper point. I mean, this ball that was played from White, I mean, Gasper, I have no idea why he did not intervene that. Like, I think he was pretty much ball watching that one as it slides into the path of Vite, but nevertheless, just terrible defending there again for the Galaxy. And also just kind of a reminder that, as much as I do love Chase Gasper, and he is definitely one of the fan favorite during his time with Minnesota United, I think it's safe to say that the Loons won the trade in terms of that, and that again, it sucked that Gasper is no longer with the Loons, but you can definitely see after his stellar rookie year, it feels like he maybe is just kind of a one-year wonder, and he really kind of took a slide down in his quality, and that the Loons just decided to kind of cash in on him at the right time, and that you can see he's definitely have lost a lot of confidence compared to when he came into the league, where he was once considered to be one of the best fullbacks in the league. Though in the 75th minute, Chicharito would pulls it high from long range, and I'll tell you what, Chicharito, I think his confidence is just shot right now. Like, that missed penalty that he had against Nashville, and then the missed Panenka embarrassment that he had against Sporting KC, his confidence is just absolutely shot right now, and that's not great news for the Galaxy when Chicharito is supposed to be one of your more dangerous goal scorer for this team. But in the 77th minute, Puig then curls it wide, as I thought that finishing kind of sums up the Galaxy in this game. I mean, there was just no finishing and no quality in terms of that clinical finish that was found in this game. In fact, in the 86th minute, I talked about the Galaxy defense being bad in this game, and I even kind of doubled down by saying that they were back into their usual terrible form. Well, they would give up another goal here in the 86th minute as Tosan Ricketts would score from Resso to make it 3-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. And on that play, the entire Galaxy backline was just jogging as Ricketts was going for on goal. Like, that is an absolute embarrassment if you're a Galaxy fans. And I think Galaxy fans, after they watch this performance, they have every rights to be angry, because this was just like I talk about the game between the Revs versus Houston and how Revs fans should have every rights to be feeling disgraceful that their team just put zero effort in the game when they're in the playoff hunt and there's playoffs on the line. That kind of is the same case for the Galaxy in this one, because I mean, with the way that playoffs are on the line, they sure definitely didn't play like it in this game against Vancouver. They did have one last chance in the third minutes, but Hassel was able to deny Costa from long range. And in the end, the Whitecaps keep their fringe playoff hopes alive with a 3-0 win. As the shots in this one, 11 shots compared to 12 that the Galaxy had, 6 shots on goal compared to 2 that the Galaxy had, 7 shots off target compared to 3 that Vancouver has, 3 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that Vancouver has, and possession-wise, 68% possession compared to 32% possession that the Whitecaps has in this game. And I think the only good news coming out of this game for the Galaxy is that they still technically control their playoff destiny, because with RSL losing, they still do have that 3-point deficit that they need to make up, but they do have that game in hand, and if they do win that game in hand, then they can overtake RSL in terms of the tiebreaker. The only problem is the Galaxy are not playing well, and the other problem with that game in hand is that it's against the San Jose Earthquakes on the road, and that game is the Cali Clasico at Stamford Stadium, which historically the Galaxy have not done well lately. So that probably might not be a game that they would actually be happy as a way for them to get that game in hand and get themselves above the red line. But in general, I mean, they got to figure this out. Like I said this before, even though they are facing some easy team down the stretch, they'll find ways to screw it up, and it feels like they're definitely finding ways to screw it up now. And unless things doesn't change, this team is going to miss the playoffs again, and this fan base is not going to be happy. And especially I've been hearing a lot of Vanny out kind of in the Galaxy fan base, and Vanny, as I mentioned, has been one of those head coach that is probably on one of the hottest seat right now in MLS. But that being said, moving on in the next match. And speaking of the San Jose Earthquakes, they play against the Colorado Rapids in a game where I barely keep an eye on this one. Like, I was mostly keeping an eye on this game and this one because I know there was some playoff implication in terms of my other team, the Loons, are in terms of the playoff chances. And also the fact that, in general, as a neutral of MLS, and watch these kind of playoff races develop down the stretch, these two games were kind of more interesting than a game where, the Rapids, even though they did win this one against the Quakes, again, just like what I said about Vancouver, their playoff chances, it's a little bit better than Vancouver, but I don't know if they can make it, especially with the way that this is a team that, even though they play well at home, the road form is the problem, and they do still have a couple of road games that they have to play. But nevertheless, as I said, the Rapids did get a 2-1 win against the Quakes in a game where, even though I didn't watch too much of it, and I kind of did also have to watch the highlights a little bit just to see what actually happened in the game, I don't think the Quakes played badly in this game. And I think really the Quakes kind of got undone because of, once again, bad goalkeeping from JT Marcinkowski, and just an absolute golazo that was scored in the second half by Keegan Rosenberry. But like I said, in the first half, the Quakes, I thought they were on the front foot early, though they didn't really create that much chances. And the first big opportunity did came in the 11th minute when Zardes hit one just wide. But in the 22nd minute, the Rapids would take the lead. It's Diego Rubio that fires the Rapids the opening goal, but that is one that JT Marcinkowski got to save. I mean, that one from Rubio, he basically hits it right into JT path, and I've seen this before with JT. I mean, this season he has made some ridiculous save, but then there's times where he does that, and that I know this might be some of the least priority list that the Quakes might need. Well, I wouldn't say least priority, but it's definitely an upcoming priority that the Quakes might need to think about finding a new goalkeeper, and that this might be even a hot take saying that JT Marcinkowski is definitely not the future goalkeeper for the Quakes, because he's just been too inconsistent for this team, and at very best, I would say he's kind of almost like a mid-range and a mediocre goalkeeper, because even with all the good save that he made this season, there's those that he left in, and when you're a goalkeeper, and there's a reason why being a goalkeeper is always going to be the toughest job, because no matter how many great saves that you made, if you let in some of these easy ones, like what we saw in this one that JT Marcinkowski allowing Rubio to score when he was kind of a little bit off balance and still were able to put it past him from the near post, yeah, that's one that is not going to help JT cases in terms of being the future for this Quakes team. And that like I said, I'm just going to say it out loud, I don't think he's going to be the guy that is going to be the future goalkeeper for this team, and that maybe they need to go into the goalkeeping market to find a new goalkeeper. Though, that being said, Yarbrough did deny Montero from close range in the 36th minute, but then in the 37th minute, Quakes equalized. It's Nathan scoring from Espinoza to tie the game up at 1 apiece and kind of give the Colorado Rapids a taste of their own medicine, because, the Rapids are a team that is very good on set pieces, especially from the corner. And this goal came from a corner, and the Rapids didn't do a good job in terms of marking that, and Nathan was there to basically hit that one in. By the way, it's been a while since I've seen the Quakes score from a corner, so it's kind of refreshing when I saw that one goes into the back of net, and the game, of course, was all tied up at 1 apiece. Though Ibovasi looked to try to take the lead for the Quakes. I almost said retake the lead. The Quakes never had the lead in this one, but he hits one right to Yarbrough. But then on the other end, Zardes missed a free header from 5 yards out. And with the form that Jersey Zardes has been in, it's kind of a little bit disappointing if you're a Rapids fan that you didn't see him score in this one, because he definitely had some good opportunity, especially from close range on the header. Then K. Cow actually went through on goal, but unfortunately he missed that one wide again. K. Cow is another player that is kind of low in confidence, so it's not a big surprise to see that he missed that one wide. But at least I thought that both teams was trying to get the elusive second goal to take the lead before halftime, but we do head to halftime tied at 1 apiece. Now, in the second half, there was some chaos in the Quakes box, but the Rapids just couldn't capitalize. Gutierrez then puts it wide from long range in the 65th minute before Cal actually struck the post after just a lovely pullback that was from Espinoza. And I just thought that this game was up for grabs. Like, 3 points was definitely up for grabs with the way that, even though there wasn't too much chances, there was definitely good enough chances where either of these teams can score that second goal. And that second goal did came in the 77th minute, as Keegan Rosenberry would score from Max to make it 2-1 in favor of the Rapids. This, alongside with the goal that Fafa Pico scored, are definitely going to be in contention for goal of the week in terms of the midweek action, because he absolutely rifles that one into the top bin. And this is kind of one that, unlike the Rubio long range shot, I'm not going to put this one on JT Marcinkowski. In fact, I'm not even going to put that one on the defense too, because this was just one of those goals where you tip your hat off of the goal scorer, because it was just such an incredible goal from Rosenberry. And yeah, that gives the Rapids a 2-1 lead. Ibovasi tried to tie it for the Quakes, but unfortunately he missed that one high. And yeah, in the end, the Colorado Rapids continue their dominance over the Quakes at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. That's now 11 consecutive games where they have been able to get a result against the Quakes, and I believe this is they've now won, I think 5 out of the last 6 against the Quakes at home, with a 2-1 win this time against the Quakes. And the shots in this one, 13 shots compared to 15 that the Quakes had. Both teams had 3 shots on goal, 9 shots off target compared to 5 that the Rapids had, 3 shots that was blocked compared to the 5 that the Rapids had, and possession-wise, 56% possession compared to the 44% possession that the Colorado Rapids has in this game. And also, with this loss, the San Jose Earthquakes is officially eliminated from the playoffs. I mean, that's kind of a word that I should have said maybe in the beginning of the season, because we kind of knew from the beginning of the season that this team wasn't making to the playoffs, and especially once Almeida, of course, run this team to the ground, it was pretty much clear that this team is not going to make the playoffs. But tonight is officially the day that the Quakes, of course, have been eliminated from the playoffs, and it's going to be an interesting moving forward series episode I'm going to talk about. I mean, in terms of interesting, I think all I'll just say is that it's probably going to be a relatively short one, because I pretty much know what's the obvious reason why the Quakes did not make it to the playoff this season, and you probably might know it too if you watch me talk about the Quakes in a review or in a general video throughout this season. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these 4 games that happen in terms of the Wednesday action of match week number 31. Again, you know, we are now heading into really the home stretch of the MLS regular season. We got 14 more games happening in this weekend's action, and again, it's getting to a point where it's make or break time for a lot of these teams, and that, you know, these games that involve with playoff teams or playoff contention kind of matchup, oh boy, it's going to be more mouth watering, because this is really now the time where, you know, there's a lot of pressure on a lot of these teams to either make it to the playoffs or get themselves ready when the playoffs begin. So I'm interested to see what we're going to see in terms of this weekend action, and that is also worth noting that we're now also 1 week closer from decision day, and I have a feeling this could be the craziest decision day we have ever seen in MLS history, if the standings of how close it's been for both conferences continue as we get into decision day. But like I said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.